Hi everyone, it's Sunday, April 4th. Happy Easter Sunday to those of you who celebrate. It's time for another HideNet Week in Review. I'm Vera Dordick. Once again, let's start with the US. After 3 weeks of dramatic price increases, the bullish marathon seemed to have fizzled out last week. There were a few steer sales reported that were as much as $2 higher, but because availability was so limited, there really weren't many sales at all. Buyers were definitely showing more resistance to higher prices, and one large Chinese tanner even issued a statement to suppliers saying that they wouldn't be purchasing any more hides right now because prices are out of control and they have enough in the warehouse. We'll see what the coming week brings, but prices should be firm, even if just by virtue of sellers being mostly oversold, for now that is. Heavy Texas steers didn't change this week, and last week's price of $43 for 66 pound selections is still in force. As we already mentioned, other steer selections were up, but no more than $2. Cow selections, some of which are amazingly up nearly 80% in the last month, were likewise steady. Last week's export report showed lower sales as we expected, and the drop was 25%. Combined sales were 580,500. And shipments, while they were up 20% at 576,500, they still have yet to hit the level of a week's slaughter, so they need some improvement. And speaking of slaughter, for the week through Saturday, April 3rd, the total was down 6% at an estimated 606,000. Turning to Europe, editor Andrea Guolo says that despite production still being down, there's still a bullish trend for the prices of a variety of selections. Tanners are still having a hard time with increasing prices, especially when they need to stock up for what is hopefully the restart of fashion coming soon. If it doesn't come soon, some are already worrying about missing another season. In the UK, Andrea says that nothing has really changed because sellers keep trying to push prices higher. It's still not possible to buy the 36 plus ox in the UK below £1 20 cents per kilo, but the top end sells at up to £1 30 cents per kilo, and that's despite requests for even more. Among bulls, it was a quiet week with prices unchanged, but new levels are expected next week. Southern German bulls were stable, and they're expected next week to confirm the top of the range at €1.75 per kilo. French origins are being affected by the new lockdown and low slaughter, but we don't believe that some of the top price requests saw any conclusions last week. In the European cow market, sellers also tried for more, but they weren't successful, while in the veal skin market, everything was still stable because they're waiting for the restart of leather goods. In his analysis this week, Andrea assesses what's going on with orders and deliveries, and especially with the growing shipment issues. He also takes a look at the other market problems that tanners are currently facing. Now, turning to South America, the run-up to Easter saw a quiet market. Editor Ronald Guiel says that fresh hides were stable this week at $2.92 per kilo, and the currency fluctuation this week was not as great as it was last week. TR1 was also firm at $1.10 per square foot, but Ronald says that exporters continue to worry about the currency situation as well as the high raw material price, because altogether it means that Brazilian material is taking a big hit in the international market when it comes to competitiveness. In other news from Brazil, some of the stories we have are that Mato Grosso beef slaughter capacity was up in February. Footwear generated 18,000 jobs in the 2 months for January and February for 2021. From elsewhere in Latin America, Argentine tanning called for a halt to the raw material export that is causing problems there. Chile reported 2021 slaughter to date. COVID hit Colombian tanning, but large entities are innovating. And finally, in Uruguay, the union, ministries, and industries are meeting over the increasing number of COVID cases in the factories and meat plants. So that's all we have for today. And again, wishing everyone who celebrates a happy Easter Sunday. And until next week, good night from HideNet.